Hi, good evening. Welcome to Test Talk, TEST, Tertiary Education Skills Training and Tertiary Education on the whole, what you might call the step beyond secondary schooling. I apologize for the absence of Mr. Curtis Manchun, the chairman of UTT, but I have tonight with us Mr. Nigel Forjani, the principal of YTEP. Nigel. Dr. Camille Samuel, who is the Vice President, Student Affairs at COSTAT.
Yes.
Welcome, Dr.
Thank you.
Samuel, sorry.
Samuel, yes.
Yeah. And Navneet Navin Budai, Vice President of COSTAT. UTT, sorry, oh gosh, sorry. Vice President of UTT and the person in charge of the entrepreneurship activities at UTT. Navin, what is the difference between UWI on the one hand and UTT, and with UTT the other two national institutions? Is there a difference?
Well, if I can speak to the difference, I think the difference comes from the traditional university concept, where it was primarily focused on teaching, learning, and research. And what you found over time is a lot of research ended up on shelves at the universities and on libraries. And the whole entrepreneurial concept was, how do you monetize or carry that the ideas, the concepts that have been created in a university environment, the innovations, and how do you monetize or commercialize that? So I think the transformation away from the traditional type universities that will focus on teaching, learning, and research, which will still continue, but in a large part, greater efforts are being made by universities to commercialize that. And you will see the Facebooks of the world, the Googles of the world, that a large part of it really came out of the university tertiary education environment.
Okay, so Google is one example, but that is at a university, master's, PhD level research. What are we talking about here?
No, in fact, a lot of the students who are now coming and entering into tertiary education, and if I draw relevance and look at the local situation as well, every student now graduating out of the secondary school would have had 5 years use of a laptop. That's a powerful tool, and I think the tertiary education environment now have to cater for those students who are now coming out technology enabled. So therefore, you do not have to reach to the master's and postgraduate level to be able to use technology to create a product. You can now do that even on entry to any of the institutions, not only the university environment. I'm sure similarly for COSTAT and YTEP, a lot more students are more entrepreneurial. They are more IT enabled. They're more, they're more open to ideas because they're exposed to so much more than, let's say, even when I was there in tertiary education 10 years ago.
Okay, but let's talk about COSTAT, Dr. Samuel. COSTAT is a kind of in-between institution. It's a community college
yes.
and more. But do you have those entrepreneurship opportunities? Or is it that we still go through the same academic thing? You get an associate degree and then you go on and then you look and wait for the government to find you a job? What do you really do?
No, man. Let me start by defining COSTAT in terms of entrepreneurship. We conceptualize ourselves as a lab. So students don't just come in to the environment to do an academic program and to go and look for the job. In fact, we like to talk about ourselves as recruiting for careers. But we go one step further. We recruit for self-sufficiency and we recruit for excellence. And so that when we define excellence, we mean they must come, they must learn the tools of their trade, and they must be able to deliver in the marketplace. So we pride ourselves on having students who can be work-ready, but who can deliver for their employers. And we also consider ourselves entrepreneurial. In fact, we have been producing graduates who've been starting their own businesses, and we have been challenging our students to take part in all of the entrepreneurial opportunities and competitions.
What are we talking about? Hairdressing?
No, man. But even if it's hairdressing, we would still win.
Serious? No, I'm absolutely serious.
Yeah, let me tell you. As far back as 2009, even before our MOU with the Babson College in Massachusetts, they are well known for their entrepreneurial spirit. and they have a particular methodology in terms of how they view training in the entrepreneurial field. And they teach faculty across all disciplines, students, everybody inside of the environment. They are taught to think entrepreneurial, look for opportunities, and to create some distinctive competence and advantage that they can capitalize down the road. So the example I wanted to give you was that we encouraged a lot of our students to take part in the entrepreneurial competitions that I think the Ministry of Labor was having at the time. And our math students, not the students doing the business degrees or the degrees in business and entrepreneurship, the math students created an award-winning entrepreneurial venture to do with daycare. Yeah. And incidentally, we beat UTT and UWI.
That's great, good to hear. But right. What about YTEP? YTEP is more tech work, right, isn't it?
Well, yeah, YTEP is based on technical vocational education and training. But it's founded on a model that is called train to earn to produce. And if you produce, the idea really is to sell what you produce. So the idea of entrepreneurship has always been a part of YTEP since it was started in 1998.
When you see all these students walking with a slide rule, we could produce with a slide rule.
Of course. If you have a slide rule, it means then that you are probably a carpenter or you are in one of the trade areas. Okay. And so you would recognize, for example, if you go to get someone now to build cupboards or build or lay tiles, you may find that you may have to use your entire salary in order to compensate that person for laying those tiles. So it's a very, very, very lucrative profession. And so even within those professions, we teach them how to manage their professional skills and development as a business. So they learn how to measure, how to cost, how to purchase, you know, how to deal with the customer and that sort of thing.
But wait, there is a gap. Now I want to talk to you about that. Every year, we produce students with a few O-levels, and you have a pile-up of kids who don't have the skills to find work out there. There are no jobs out there for them. And I've gone through the Caribbean. I've worked throughout the Caribbean for the last 23 years. I live in Antigua, so I see the kids, all of them on the basketball court or anything that could look like a basketball court. They have, so, and I've seen the same kids here. So at what point, how do you make that jump from kid on the block, the guys who are police or who become police eventually, they come out the same block and they push them into, you know, into the school. But what about all those kids? How do you get them? Because the attitude, from what I see, it is not prepossessing.
If we look at tertiary education in the past, you know, even to go to the traditional universities, you would have had to achieve at least A levels to get in. When you look at tertiary education today, and this is, let's say, 10, 15 years ago, the transition or transformation that happened in our education system over the last decade has been tremendous. I think even over the last 5 years, under the leadership of our Minister, Fazal Karim, I mean, tertiary education participation rate went from 40% to 60%. Now, again, that was not primarily in the traditional areas. UTT today is 10 years old, right? Well, last year we celebrated our 10th anniversary, and we were always defined as this entrepreneurial university. It took us some time to get to the point where we are today, but it's not just about the traditional, I mean, somebody coming in to do a written exam to pass, to be able to get a degree, to graduate. To graduate from UTT now in fashion design, you have to do a full collection. To graduate from animation, you have to do animation pieces to be able to graduate. So it's not just about the written aspects of passing exams. And I think that the whole concept of education is changing. And this is why I think it's more appealing for the persons who are not, I would say, academically inclined. As part of my role, I also sit on the National Board of the National Training Agency. And the whole aspect of CVQ is now getting into all the schools in the country, all the secondary schools. I think at this point in time, all secondary schools will be at least doing one CVQ. And the Caribbean...
What is that? What for listeners? What
yes,
is,
so the CVQ,
no, what is it?
The CVQ is a Caribbean vocational qualification.
Okay.
It's a new qualification, about just a couple of years old, awarded by CXC, but it's based on competencies. So therefore, I think the whole transition, again, it's away from the CXC typical CSEC exams and CAPE exams, but this is now achievement of competencies. So it's in the education system now, it's how do we allow each child the opportunity to acquire skills, not just writing an exam and saying I have 5 O-levels or 10 O-levels, but how can I say I have 10 O-levels, but I'm also a plumber, I'm also a carpenter, I'm also a hairdresser. And it's based on competencies. These are not written exams. When I say competencies, it's based on standards set by employers. So again, it's not the institution that determines the competencies. The carpenters will come together and say, okay, for carpentry, you have to be able to do these 3 skills. Once we can show that those 3 skills, the students can demonstrate those 3 skills, they can acquire qualifications. And this is happening at Costa, at YTEP,
Let me, as you mentioned,
MT and MIC.
I'm hearing these percentages, 65% and all of that. I asked the minister last week, okay, so you say 65%, but that is quantities. What about the quality? What kind of students are you producing, Dr. Samuel?
Well, I am glad that you've asked that question. And in fact, before I answer that question, I want to pick up from what Narvin said in terms of the access point, because you asked a question about access and how do we get the students who are playing basketball. And in fact, I have to, before I go further, give credit to our minister, because in the first time that I can remember in the sector, the institutions are working together. We all have each other's numbers on speed dial. And this will lead definitively to an integrated, networked education system that will benefit all of the citizens. So let me move from that point to the platform to do with access. COSTAT has a prep program where we prepare the academically underprepared for higher education. So we have a 2-year program. They come in. So they may have 3 O-levels. They may have no O-levels. They may have A-levels. They may have experience alone. And when they come into our institution, we have career counselors who will meet with them, sit with them, and decide what they would like to do and mesh that with career opportunities. And if they said to us they wanted to do plumbing and tech voc, we would just speed dial Nigel and say, we have some candidates for you. If they said their interest is really fashion design, but these are the things that they need to do first, we would hold them for the first 2 years. We would seamlessly move them into prep programs and then bachelor programs, and then have a discussion with UTT or UWI, and we are the feeder stock into their master's program. Now, it's not articulated in terms of a formal document. That is to come. But we've already started working together. And I think that you can't beat that in terms of access.
Okay, but all right, so we go back to there was always a stigma attached to the technical schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't do well in your O-levels or your A-levels. In my days, you Cambridge. And those kids either went into apprentice program at Texaco or somewhere, or they go to a technical school and it had its own
Because that has the same stigma. But in terms of the quality that you're talking about, that's where you're heading, right? I want to tell you that the quality of graduates that I've seen through these past few years, this past maybe 4 or 5 years, they've been top notch. Even if you've looked at the Integrity Commission just had their debates, and UWI, UTT, USC, many institutions, COSTAT, took part in the integrity debates.
We ran it live.
Well, you see, so there you go. And so you know, you would have seen the caliber of the arguments. Now, we're happy that we won, but the fact is, I had to just throw that in. But we're among friends. But if you look at the caliber of the UTT, the Arthur Lockjack, the rest of them, it's there because we're working together, and you can't help but have quality.
I come back to Tech Walk. I want to talk to you about that.
If I could just jump in here with regards to access. Camille has spoken about the informal articulation. And what YTEP is, YTEP really is an opportunity provider in that unlike other of the tertiary or the technical vocational training programs like NESC or MIC, YTEP doesn't require entry requirements. So we take persons who have no O-levels, no A-levels, but we also take persons who have those qualifications. What I've seen over the last couple of years is that the quality of the candidates has increased. Probably 10 years ago, we had persons who would enter without one O-level. Now you have an average of 2 and 3 O-levels being the certification of choice amongst persons coming into YTEP. The other thing is that we have persons as well who would have been academically qualified. They may have had 5 O-levels. We even have persons who have university degrees. But they saw a need to gain a skill, whether it's a skill in computers or a skill in carpentry or a skill in hairdressing. We have seen persons actually change focus and do something different to what they were, I don't want to say certified, but different to the qualifications that they've had. So people are recognizing that being involved in the trades really provides an opportunity to earn a decent income.
Thank you. Well, Navin, I go back to the stats, I look to see what difference has this made. Do we still have the kids out on the street, still bouncing ball, or just sit down, or buying one spliff and sharing it among 6 of them? No, I'm serious. I've lost our entire football side because of that. But the question is, Navin, are you, despite the combination of 3 institutions and the synergy, are we moving as quickly as we should? Are we making the headway that we should?
Yeah, well, I think we have to look at the opportunities now for the young person. I think never before, and we were discussing earlier, even when we were in our tertiary education and even looking, graduating out of secondary school, not sure what to do, I think today there's very few opportunities that a young person can say that they want to do that they don't have access to. Yeah, and I will just speak on UTT, and I'm sure my colleagues will speak on the areas.
Let's do that.
UTT, going into aviation, and the intention is not to go at the degree level in aviation, but when you look at the aviation sector, the maintenance sector, it requires lots of technicians. And when you look at the birth of UTT, it was really to create the feedstock at that middle tier level. Where were the technicians coming from? When you look at the energy sector, for example, is the technicians really run the sector? And long ago in secondary school, you had choices. It's either carpentry, I think plumbing, masonry, hairdressing, and food preparation. When you look at what you have access to today, you can get into animation. The animation students from YTEP, sometimes they come in with very few levels, but they are able to articulate from YTEP onto the university to get a degree to postgraduate.
Navin,
so
let us pause here. We have to take our first break on the program. I wanted to remind people that the phone lines will be open after the break, 675-8747, 675-8749. We will be opening the lines after the break. We are talking about tertiary education, skills training, but generally the context of tertiary education. What happens after secondary school to your kids? If you have questions, we have an expert panel who are all attached to institutions that deal with these kids to make their life better, give them a job for the future. So, wait until we come back and call us if you can, or if you want advice or information. Thanks.
Hazinas has everything you need for your home and garden. Choose from a wonderful variety of rugs, mirrors, accent pieces, patio sets, garden ornaments, household items, and lots more. Contact them at 671-6479 or email hazinas@yahoo.com. Visit Hazinas Home and Garden, home of fine furnishings, today.
The Commission of Inquiry into the Las Alturas Housing Project hearings is on TV4. Watch the second evidence hearings of the Commission of Inquiry live on TV4, weekdays from Tuesday 7th April to Friday 10th April at 9:30 a.m. The Commission of Inquiry into the Las Alturas Housing Project, second evidence hearings exclusively on TV4, our TV.
This road, how it was, it's 100% better than how it was before. But there's little things need to adjust on.
Well, before the Pinam Road was paved, it had a lot of potholes. It had people had to slow down when they're driving.
No, they did not box train, I think, so they did the box train, the widening road. The open access road leading to Mendes and Queen Anne Beach, and well, they're helping a lot of business and everything.
Hi, welcome back to Test Talk, TEST, Tertiary Education Skills Training. We have the lines open, 675-8747, 675-8749. My guests are Navin Budai, who is at UTT as Vice President and Head of Entrepreneurship Business Development. Dr. Camille Samuel, VP Student Affairs at COSTAT, and Nigel Fortuny, who is the president, the CEO, of YTEP. Let's come back, Dr. Samuel, because you said that each of these organizations, COSTAT, YTEP, UTT, you work together, you create some synergy, but you have your own areas of competence. But I drop my daughter at COSTAT in town every morning and every afternoon. But I have no sense of what happens, even her journalism program. I have no sense. You said that you have advisors. I don't know if she met anybody but Joel, who is in charge of
an advisor as well.
But if you understand what I mean,
yes.
Talk to me about what really happening.
All right. Well, what we actually have is a transformation chamber, right? So when you drop your daughter, she goes through a whole host of many different exciting things throughout the day. And we have, of course...
I want the caller to hear about these exciting things too.
No, the caller is there.
Hi, this is, welcome to Test Talk.
Hi, good night.
Hi, good night.
Yes, I wanted to find out, I'm listening to the program. I was interested to hear of the different things that are being done from the different agencies. I have two things I would like to find out. I heard Mr. Budai talk about aviation, and I was interested in finding out from all members what are some of the new and different programs that being offered from the institutions, and secondly, is there anything being done to, after students graduate, to give them that extra push? Some students and graduates need an extra push to get into a job or industry. Is anything being done in that area to give them that extra start?
That is really good questions that we would like to answer. In fact, you've asked the questions I've been asking these guys. Navin, new programs.
Well, UTT, what you will see a lot of transition away in the tertiary sector, away from classrooms that are 120, 200 students. I've been in classrooms learning management in a classroom of 200 people. That is difficult, it's a challenge. And you will see now, I think tertiary education is becoming more focused on job opportunities and creation of jobs. And I think through the intervention of minister as well, this has been happening.
But he wants new programs. What are the new things that
those new programs now are aviation, and it's more in the maintenance sector. UTT is also going to printing and packaging, and we're working with MIC, Metal Industries Company. They are doing more on the packaging, we will be doing more on the printing side. We are going into the banking sector as well, and we're working with the Trinidad and Tobago International Financial Center to launch programs in those areas. But apart from those, we're looking at steel pan, looking at Ramlila. UTT
fashion design, you said?
Fashion design, animation, from all the performing arts.
Okay, let me just switch to YTEP, see what YTEP has, and come to COSTAT. What else?
Well, we have recently started to push our own animation program.
Okay.
As Navin had indicated earlier, graduates from YTEP's program can articulate to UTT to do the advanced levels at their centers. We also started to develop a digital arts center at our Waterloo campus. And you would find an opportunity, for example, for television and video production, for song engineering, for live broadcast training, and that sort of thing at that center. What YTEP is doing as well is we're also pushing strongly in the tilapia production area. We are one of the few facilities, for example, that deals in tilapia fingerlings. We harvest the eggs from the mother's mouth, and we take them through the process to actually hatch them.
Wow.
And so persons have an opportunity to learn from starting
Okay, let me ask about Costa. Thanks.
Okay.
I don't mean to...
No, but I know we all have a limited amount of time, but let me just say our new programs are attached to our established programs. So like we have a journalism program, and so now we're going into film, and you will see many other different programs around those established programs. We are well known for nursing and healthcare programs, and so the new programs would be the visitor programs, the health district visitor programs that will be more relevant to the community outreach that we pride ourselves on doing.
Okay, but now the question that the gentleman also asked is what you're doing to help your graduates and the kids. If you could just quickly do that, and we come to another question. Just
right.
what?
I think very quickly, just to say, UTT, we have set up and established an incubator now within the university. It's actually a facility. ETEC would have sponsored this facility for the use of the university. And thus far, we have 32 graduated companies out of the incubator. We currently have 18 companies in the incubator as well.
Let me come back to you because I have a feeling this question will trigger some of the same concerns. Hi, welcome to Test Talk.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Question for Dr. Samuel. I'd like to find out more about the campus that is being built in Chaguanas, and will entrepreneurial courses be offered there?
Yes. Well, you know, that's...
Thank you.
Thank you. That's my favorite subject now, our campus in Chaguanas, because it's a very, very first purpose-built campus. And, of course, we're going to have our program, our bachelor's in management and entrepreneurship, and our incubator program, and a lot of the support programs around that field. Right? So if you're ready to come, you just send me an email, and we'll sign you up.
But no, I want to go back to that question that the guy asked before. What are you doing, for instance, at YTEP to create opportunities? Are you doing anything, or as soon as they graduate, they say, all right, good, here your degree, here your diploma,
Well, we actually have a student support service, which provides an opportunity for all our graduates to register and find jobs. In fact, we have an online portal which we utilize to link employers and our graduates together so that it makes it easier for them to find jobs.
Yeah, MIC was telling me, in fact, that they invite potential employers to their graduation ceremonies. Yes. Is that the same kind of thing?
Of course. We don't only invite potential employers, but we also have a number of partners. I mean, the other P in YTEP is partnership. Yeah. And so we have a lot of partners that we work with. Some of our training facilities are actually at our partners' places of work. Okay. And so a lot of our graduates, when they are finished with their courses, actually find employment right at the sites where they would have trained.
That's great. What about Costa?
Oh, we do a lot. We have lots of internship programs, and we partner with many key stakeholders in industry. We also have a career development unit, and so not only do we put the students in touch with the employers, but we do prep sessions with them. And every year we have an annual, of course, career fair, where we invite all of the employers in all of the key areas that we do, nursing, IT, graphics, all of them. And we invite our final year students to go through, just a little over a week, where they prepare them to do the interview, and we do mock interview sessions. And after they feel confident enough, we take a look at their CV, we give them feedback, and then we unleash them to go through the real interviews with the employers. And we do tracer studies as well. Okay.
Now, when UTT seems to be different, and you have problems with accreditation and all of that?
Yeah. No, those are things, I think, of the past. When an institution that was just 10 years old, and I think at the time that accreditation was a concern, we were just a few years old, between 3 to 5 years. And it's very difficult for any new, like a fledgling institution, to gain accreditation. Accreditation is gained when you can prove after your first graduation, right, that you are successfully graduating students who can meet a certain outcome and a standard. And we have shown that. I think we have now the highest level of accreditation in the country. All the institutions would have got, I think, COSTAT, UE, and UTT got 7 years, the maximum period. A lot of our engineering programs are accredited now. We are accredited like chemical engineering by IChemE, and the maritime programs, for example, is also accredited. Maritime and aviation is highly regulated, and we are meeting all the regulation standards set both locally as well as foreign. So accreditation and quality I don't think it's an issue. I think what is important now for employers, and more so for us, is that we can graduate a competent student, not just having an academic skill, but able to do something. And when we say that, you know, we have graduated 32 businesses, we have 18 other businesses in the incubator, we have about 50 other businesses that would have come through the university. When we look at the fashion designers today, Adrian Foster just came back from London Fashion Week. This is a guy who graduated just 2 years ago. And this is where the industries are going. Our animators, we have animators who are now working with DreamWorks, right, on top production. So again, once you can show the young people, the guys who are on the street who just coming out of school, that these are the kind of opportunities. These are opportunities that you do not require all the knowledge, the knowledge and the written exams and all those things. There's an actual opportunity to do something with your hands. And be as professional as any one of us in shirt and ties. I mean, this is where the future of education is heading.
Ironic. I mean, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs,
most of them did not graduate.
Yeah, but your guys are there, and they have the academic background. But again, the other concern that I have is really, okay, so we have one fashion designer who's made it to London Fashion Week and things. What happens to all the others?
No, well, I just called one because it's the most recent. We had two that went on, came back last year, I think it was September, October, at New York Fashion Week. We have had at least, about 4 or 5 designers that went to the Ontario Fashion Week. We have had almost at every fashion week in the region, there's a UTT person. Noor, for example, Noor Ganga, is now one of the top fashion designers, has her own boutique, right, on, I think it's O'Connor Street or Anna Street. So our students, they are doing well. I think they are making progress. We are not there yet. I think we are always improving, but when you look at the graduate output now, and a student coming out, just think about it, a student coming out of a university, able not to go and find a job, but be able to go and create jobs, because Noor is actually hiring students who are graduating from UTT. And that's the power of the entrepreneurial institution and the graduates out of our entrepreneurial
Okay, let me just pause a second. I'll come back to you. But I wanted to remind people that the phone lines are open, 675-8747, 675-8749. If you have kids about to graduate from secondary school, now is the time to talk to us, call us, find out what happens at the tertiary education level and what opportunities there are for your children. So talk to me about YTEP. Where are we going with that?
Well, like UTT, YTEP has had a number of persons who also have been successful. I mean, just 2 years ago, we had a young lady, Chanel Etienne, who represented us at WorldSkills in Germany, and she did pretty well. It was the first time that Trinidad and Tobago entered anyone in WorldSkills. And I think there's a guy from Custard as well.
Yeah, we did very well as well.
What is that?
WorldSkills.
What is
WorldSkills?
Way past my day. What is? Talk to me.
WorldSkills is an international technical vocation and educational competition where you compete against the best in the world.
It's a Skills Olympics.
Skills Olympics, correct.
Sound good.
And students from the Trinidad tertiary sector topped many of the categories. We did very well. And you know, and what Nigel is speaking to as well is the fact that the institutions are now working and partnering with the students. So when you talk about quality, quality can't happen if that relationship is not solid and if we're not tracking. And with this modernization and the creation of the e-gate services, we have been tasked as institutions to make sure that time to graduation is a factor and a key metric that we take a look at. So that to do that, you have to work with the students, and you can't help but have the quality.
Okay, let me, we have another caller. Hi, welcome, talk to me.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
I would like to find out from the panelists, how do the institutions deal with students who have disabilities? Thank you.
You wanna start, and then we take it.
One of the challenges that we have at YTEP is we have a challenge with access. About 80% of the programs or the facilities we teach in are really at the secondary schools. And if the secondary schools don't have the kind of access to allow persons who are immobile, then there's a challenge in meeting them. But apart from that, we have had a number of programs that we have done with deaf pioneers. We have done with persons who are also visually impaired. We teach hairdressing. We teach culinary arts. We teach a variety of things to persons who have other disabilities. In fact, on the 13th of this month, we are going to launch our, as the minister would say, for the first time in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, fully mobile computer training unit specifically designed for persons with disabilities.
That's
so
fantastic.
it would treat with persons who are immobile in terms of using a wheelchair, persons who suffer with cerebral palsy, persons who are hearing impaired, sight impaired. So we are making a definite trust in those areas to assist persons who have disabilities.
That's really good, Camille. What will it cost that?
Yeah, man. We have an entire mechanism to deal with supporting students who may be impaired one way or the other. And our admissions counselors are highly trained so that when those students appear and they are seeking to be admitted to the college, there's a tag that goes on the electronic system which triggers the health and counseling unit to come and interview those students to determine what kind of accommodation we need to make. And if we need translators, if we need people with the ability to support students in getting the exams done, we make those accommodations. But you have to appreciate we don't have, in many of our facilities, it's not purpose-built, so we can't accommodate everybody. But this is why I'm so happy with Chaguanas, because it's the first purpose-built campus.
Well, that's what you meant by purpose-built.
Yes, well, it will be designed to support our community partners, our students, our faculty, our staff, the disabled. Everyone would have their space, and it's going to be comfortable to enhance excellence in teaching and learning.
Before you go to Navid, I want to jump in with Camilla as well, because we're also building our own purpose-built facility in Woodford Lodge in Chaguanas.
It's going to be a cluster.
Yeah, which is not too far from the Custard campus.
I knew it when it was a factory. I worked at Cardi.
Yeah, and what we are doing as well is ensuring, for example, that persons with disabilities have access. So the way in which the counters are being designed, the way in which the workstations are being designed with persons, for persons with persons who are differently abled in mind.
Yeah, Navin, what about you?
Just to quickly say that with the transition, I think in 2006, the Accreditation Act, part of the registration criteria for you to be accredited, it must allow entry for persons with different learning abilities and different abilities on the whole. And I think almost all, not almost all, once you are accredited or registered by the Accreditation Council, you must have provision. So I think every program at UTT, it allows for access to classrooms, the use of technology, the use of spaces, and I think this is now a commonplace. So I don't think there should be any challenges with persons with disabilities.
There's a caller. Let me say hi, caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Good night. What are some of the new courses that each institution has that will encourage participation?
Okay, that's really good. Let me start with Navin. You want to do that, Navin, and then come back?
So again, the new types of programs, UTT, each institution is getting more and more responsive to the needs of industry. When you look at the printing sector, for years, John D., right, as a 50-year-old institution, used to train printers in Trinidad and Tobago. Now the printing industry, since those programs are shut down, those programs are now required. But not just the typical offset printing. You have digital printing. You now have 3D printing. And those are the kind of skills that's going to come. So printing and packaging, you're going to see a lot of. You're going to see a lot more into the arts area, because you'll find one of the good things coming out of UTT is that they have to be able to produce products upon graduation. And we are soon to open. Within the next 4 weeks, we will be opening our store at the airport. Again, you cannot have students producing products and no channels for them to sell. In fact, our 3 institutions partnered for a night market for Christmas.
Yes.
And we also did it for the carnival period at the airport. And these were markets where our students and staff can bring their products for sale. This is the whole entrepreneurial.
Those are the synergies that we're talking about.
Yeah, but talk to me about Custard. Do you do anything new, as the lady asked?
Yeah, we like I said before, we have innovated on a lot of the things that we are well known for, so that we just do it better, because we are always in touch with the community, so they're always telling us this is what we want.
But if people want information, before we end, I want to give them some numbers, you know.
Yes, and they can have my number, they can have my email address.
Yeah, that would be good. And YTEP, same thing. I mean,
YTEP is I could say
the same menu of technical education things.
Yeah. We're working together to lift the whole
Yeah, there are two areas I'm concerned about. One of them is sports.
Sports?
Yeah, because
we are too.
Don't see evidence of much in COSTAT, for instance. But here we are, we have some world-class athletes. We find the environment is different. And I, for instance, used to be a sports master in the secondary schools. My children are sports people. Well, what do you do? What do you have for them is the question.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, none of the YTEP.
I think I can answer that question for all of us. I think when I talk about purpose-built, I mean, if we had built primarily for teaching and learning, that is what you're going to get, because you can't do basketball in the classroom. And so that you see a thrust now in the sector where these institutions are building their own campuses, their own site offices, and in that construction mode, we have taken that on board, because we recognize when you're renting a facility in Port of Spain, you don't have facilities of your own to set up a basketball field. We might try to go to the Savannah to do it, but it's not the ideal scenario. And so in all of our ways, we have launched some sporting activities. We had a whole campaign and created the COSTAT Cayman. Right, and we did well in some tertiary games against UTT, UE, but it's not sustainable because we don't have the space.
Another question.
I think this, I know my colleague at Costa, if I could be competitive now. I think
Watch
UTT,
it.
UTT is the only, I think, the only institution in the Caribbean with a high-performance sport program.
Right.
We currently give, we have 110 athletes on scholarship.
Yeah.
And these are athletes who are performing already at the national level. And they are, and the head of that program right now is Darren Ganga, the ambassador for sport. And these 110 kids, they compete either at the club level or at the national level. We have students who are right now in the Carifta Games on that team, the top table tennis players at UTT. We have a number of students who are in the national cricket team coming from the university. And these are guys, girls and guys who are under the age of 21. Right, so we are really developing the young students. As a matter of fact, just yesterday we signed with the Basketball Federation of Trinidad and Tobago that agreement, because what they're going to do now is to propel a lot of the students who want to go into competitive sports to also be doing a degree or doing a certificate program. And every month, I think every month we are going to be partnering with one of the national associations to do this. For example, at the Aquatic Center and the Cycling Center, UTT will have a presence there as well. We're going to be having a biometrics lab and a physiology lab. These sports science labs are critical for the development of athletes that we have not had before. And I think UTT is going a long way in this in developing sports. One of the best cricket grounds, for example, in Trinidad right now is at the UTT O'Meara campus.
We'd have to give him. Right, so we'd have to give him win, but we're going to come and beat him at his own game when we get our own facilities.
I am concerned because part of the issue is that I try to teach kids that cricket is not about playing only, for instance. So there are a lot of other jobs in cricket, whether it's managerial, whether it's at the physiology level, whether it is at the intellectual property level from law. So there's a whole range of other things around sport. But let me, let's break the program here, take a break, or final or second break for the night. I want to remind people it's 675-8747 or 675-8749. We've quite enjoyed the phone calls. They've been very pertinent. And I hope that when we come back, there are more people asking us questions. Thank you.
For Real new season premieres Friday, April 10th, exclusively on TV4, Our TV. Brought to you by our gold sponsor, the Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism, Division of Culture, assisting nationals in success in the cultural sector.
Hazinas has everything you need for your home and garden. Choose from a wonderful variety of rugs, mirrors, accent pieces, patio sets, garden ornaments, household items, and lots more. Contact them at 671-6479 or email hazinas@yahoo.com. Visit Hazinas Home and Garden, home of fine furnishings, today.
Hi, welcome back to Test Talk, TEST, Tertiary Education Skills Training. Our panelists, we were talking a little bit earlier about sports, new programs including aviation, a whole range of new areas of competence that we are building. But I'm interested in finding out what is happening with the girls.
Well, let me just say that the entire sector is concerned about the absence of men in many of the programs. And we actually noticed when the technical programs were taken out of COSTAT and fused into UTT, that many of the enrollment levels to do with the men dropped. Also, we know that there's some evidence, I can't say that it's very strong evidence, that says if you're actually doing things that the men like, the sporting activities, that they will come, but the women do the sporting too. Yeah. Let me put a disclaimer here to say that in no way do I problematize the fact that we have more girls than boys in the program, in many of our programs. But at the same time, we have to think about both the men and the women, and how can we support them in this new age of studying? Because I'm sure we all would have had the experience of young mothers coming to the programs, and there's nobody to take care of the children, and the children are in the hallways or in the classrooms. At many of the master's level programs, you see the same dynamics throughout. So it's not just COSTAT, it's not YTEP, it's not UTT, it's not UWI. We have to find a way to break down these rigid structures that simply says, you bring your body to class and we will teach you. Right? There has to be a dismantling and unpacking of that so that we can support the entire community, the entire country. When you come, what do? Should we have daycare centers? Certainly, because we're teaching ECCE now. Why not create a kind of testing ground for those who are studying in a supervised environment, the early childhood care program, where the students can bring their children and benefit while they are studying. And you see, and this is the beauty when you are building a campus for your vision. You can build those things into the fabric of what you do. And that's what we plan to do, and that's what many of the institutions that we've been talking about doing together.
But at the same time, the technology has changed the way we teach, yes, and the way people learn. Mm-hmm. And they learn in or out of the classroom.
Absolutely.
But my question has always been, if technology is the answer, what is the question? And is it that we are going far too much into technology now, Navin, and there are problems along the way that we may tend to forget or not tend to include?
I think by and large what the education system used to be, it used to be too process-oriented, meaning every learner have to come through the same entry point, go through the same process, and come out at the same exit point. I think now when you look at education, it's much more diverse. The types of learners are much more diverse. There are lots of guys who cannot spell, right, understand proper English in terms of spelling, but put them on a computer, they know how to program, right? So therefore, you have to start to create more diverse type programs to cater for all these different types of learners. I think it's, when you sit in a class now of 20 students, each student is almost, could be seen as a different student in a different environment, learning in a different way. And I think the system is now trying to get up to speed with that. And we are not there yet. Certainly with Minister's intervention.
Let me just, I really like to give the people on the telephone a little priority. Hi, welcome to Test Talk.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Yes, good night. Feel free to ask your question.
I just called and I see you on your program tonight, yeah? You were talking about education for single moms.
What's that?
Education for single moms.
Okay, well, that sounds like a good area to explore. Let's just take the other question, and we could deal with both. Hi, caller, welcome.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
I was watching the program. What is the question?
What's that?
She's asking, what's the question?
Oh,
Or it's the same color?
education for single mothers.
She likes that.
Yes.
You want that?
Is that a question?
Yeah,
yeah, okay, great. We'll take that. Thank you. Guys, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, education is available for all, you know, whether you're single or not.
No, but there are issues, as Camille pointed out.
But you see, each institution will treat with it differently. So, for example, where YTEP recognizes that there are challenges, we make provisions. So, for example, in Valencia, we recognize that a number of our trainees will come into class and they will bring in children. And one of the things that we did is we arranged with a daycare in the area. By the way, the person who runs the daycare is a graduate of YTEP's childcare program.
Guys, I don't like to stop anybody, but I have another caller. This is really great. Hi, welcome.
Good evening, Tony.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
And let me say a special good evening to our panelists, Mr. Fonjani, Dr. Samuel, and Mr. Budai. And Tony, I know that you will be very happy to know that this call is from one of your hometowns, Carpichai.
Yeah. Hi, Minister. Good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, and I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you and our team. I think one of the real outcomes that we are seeing in a project like this is that the national community is being better informed, as I always say, in terms of the 3 Ds, data-driven decisions. And you're absolutely on spot that we are focusing, and I think the backdrop says it all in terms of youth and jobs and future skills with some action. And the whole aspect of entrepreneurship tells us that we are now not only accentuating what people are studying at our various institutions to get wage employment, but the whole aspect of self-employment. McKinsey Global talks about this, and you would have seen the impact of what we are doing as well, as I indicated in the last program, in terms of the unemployment rate being further decreased again in Trinidad and Tobago. With respect to entrepreneurship, which is the focus of this evening, I want to say that what we are doing is really to add, my comment is really to add and to support what you were saying on the panel this evening. And it is really a linkage system where the young boy and the girl who is in an environment of NEET, N-E-E-T, neither in education, employment, or training, can in fact come off the street or leave a secondary school and enter the tertiary sector, enter a YTEP program, go into the community college, which is the next level, and go into university. As a matter of fact as well, we are now in the process of building out our second business school in Trinidad and Tobago through any university, and UTT will soon be launching its own business school in South Trinidad. I want to give hope and opportunity to all our listeners that if you have a child at home, or even yourself, and as we're talking about yourselves, let me just say, Tony, that Cabinet today, and I want to really commend and appreciate the work of our Honorable Prime Minister, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, that today Cabinet approved a note I took for RRW, which is the whole consultation towards having retirees returning to the workforce. And I will see that as an important impetus, where these retirees who have all this capacity and skills and knowledge and talent will bring to bear on the young people of our country, so that there will be this germination and coalescence. Yes. I've always maintained I'm now shifting the paradigm. From previously, people will tell you that the most important our resource in any country is the human resource. And I'm saying now that for me, talent is the most important asset of any country.
Well, thank you very much, Minister. Appreciate it. Hope you come back for the next show, though. I have some questions for you.
Okay, I'll leave
it. All right? When people like me already return to the workforce. But anyhow, guys, finally, just one thing. This entrepreneurial institution, okay, how sustainable it is? I just have a couple of minutes. How sustainable are we with this? We have issues like financing and accreditation, but is it sustainable as a model?
Yeah. In fact, the entrepreneurial institution is not only about graduating entrepreneurs, it's about making university and education into a business mindset. So it's a whole mindset change in terms of how do we do.
No, but the point I'm asking you, Navin, is it sustainable? Do we have the skills base? Do we have the teachers, the students? Do we have the money?
It is.
I think it is. And let me tell you, it has to be, because the future of Trinidad and Tobago is not going to be based on jobs in the energy sector. or the spin-off jobs on the energy sector.
Okay.
It has to be based on those small and young entrepreneurs who can come out to create these small industries, niche industries, because we cannot compete with the big countries like China or Germany. But we have to go after niche markets. And when we create a fashion designer or an animator, they should be able to bring a job and create jobs in real-life context in terms of the needs of transit.
Let me ask Camille, is it sustainable?
Absolutely. Let me quickly say that we got some funding from the European Development Bank, and we used that funding to train faculty across the entire sector. I think the ministry understood that our concept of treating the college like an entrepreneurial lab was sustainable, and so we trained UTT, NEDCO, YTEP, many institutions in terms of how do you teach to create an entrepreneurial mindset.
And I'd say yes, likewise. We've had partnerships, for example, with Repsol and NEDCO that have continued to provide funding and opportunities for our participants and graduates.
It's sustainable.
Folks, we thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We come back again next week, Friday, for Test Talk, because we like the program so much. I do like the program so much. We had it tonight as a special. Next week, Friday, we're back. Come back, join us in Test Talk. And we'll find out that excellence is a moving target. So we continually are in pursuit of tertiary education opportunities. Thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
Provision. So I think every program at UTT, it allows for access to classrooms, the use of technology, the use of spaces, and I think this is now a commonplace. So I don't think there should be any challenges with personal disabilities.
There's a caller. Let me say hi, caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, good night.
night.
What are some of the new courses that each institution has that will encourage participation?
Okay, that's really good. Let me start with Navin. You want to do that, Navin, and then come back?
So again, the new types of programs, UTT, each institution is getting more and more responsive to the needs of industry. When you look at the printing sector, for years, John D., right, as a 50-year-old institution, used to train printers in Trinidad and Tobago. Now the printing industry, since those programs are shut down, those programs are now required. But not just the typical offset printing. You have digital printing, you now have 3D printing. And those are the kind of skills that's going to come. So printing and packaging, you're going to see a lot of, you're going to see a lot more into the arts area, because you'll find one of the good things coming out of UTT is that they have to be able to produce products upon graduation. And we are soon to open. Within the next 4 weeks, we will be opening our store at the airport. Again, you cannot have students producing products and no channels for them to sell. In fact, our 3 institutions partnered for a night market for Christmas.
Yes.
And we also did it for the carnival period at the airport. And these were markets where our students and staff can bring their products for sale. This is the whole entrepreneurial.
Those are the synergies that we're talking about.
Yeah, but talk to me about Costa. Do you do anything new, as the lady asked?
Yeah, we like I said before, we have innovated on a lot of the things that we are well known for, so that we just do it better, because we are always in touch with the community, so they're always telling us this is what we want.
But if people want information, before we end, I want to give them some numbers, you know?
Yes, and they can have my number, they can have my email address.
Yeah, that would be good. And YTEP, same thing. I mean,
YTEP is I could say
the same menu of technical education things.
Yeah. We're working together to lift the whole sector.
There are 2 areas I'm concerned about. One of them is sports.
Sports?
Yeah, because I
we are too.
Don't see evidence of much in Costard, for instance. But here we are, we have some world-class athletes. We find the environment is different. And I, for instance, used to be a sports master in the secondary schools. My children are sports people. Well, what do you do? What do you have for them is the question.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, none of the YTEP.
I think I can answer that question for all of us. I think when I talk about purpose-built, I mean, if we had built primarily for teaching and learning, that is what you're going to get, because you can't do